But then I thought about, again, I'm a risk taker, and I was like, if I'm going to be doing that stuff, and I have to answer to some corporation who's based in Milwaukee and I'm in Utah and Wyoming, that's going to be a nightmare all of my life. And I was like, I don't want that. And so if I'm going to be doing that stuff outside in the field and all this, I bet I can do it because I'm doing it anyways.
What do you do when you're forced out of your dream job? Cleyton Bauer had to endure that for a number of reasons. He did not get. It didn't work out well, but it did work out well. And here's the story of how he turned that around into something really cool with a business.
So we also have our newsletter, which is votw.substack.com. We have our thoughts on these interesting stories. So if you haven't followed, please do. And this is Cleyton Bauer.
COVID is, March 2020. I had just gotten out of the Army in January. And I was National Guard for 2 years of my last bit. So I was already still like civilian side doing medical stuff for the hospital and for stitches, which I think is now Best Med.
Did you learn medical in the Army?
Yeah, I was a medic in the Army, and then I was going for nurse as well. And then got an injury during a training exercise, and they said I was too expensive to keep, and so they let me out. And that, like I said, that was about January, February.
Like a true military.
Yeah, exactly. Luckily, not too bad.
Had you already wanted, just go back, just the medical side. Is this like a childhood dream? Or?
Yeah, I've always wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
That was my goal. I went to college 3 years for that. And between being in the actual field for 9 years and talking to doctors and talking to physician assistants, nurse practitioners, I realized that I didn't want to spend 11 years of my 20s or of my 30s as well to be $500,000 in debt, to then take another $500,000 in debt to start a business, to then hopefully in 10, 12 years make some money. And that just kind of really reset my thought process on college.
Really?
Like I had most of my college paid through scholarships in the military. I still had to pay for like food and groceries, internet, rent a little bit. But I was like, even with that, I had, after 3 years, like $15,000 of student loans. And that was just undergraduate. And even with a good scholarship in the military backing me, I would have been about $210,000 in debt by the time I was done with school. And I was like, I can't see the return on that. It's a long time.
Beginning doctor's pay.
Beginning doctor's pay is about $80,000 to $120,000.
Yeah.
You're also working 60 to 90 hours a week.
That's right. Yeah.
And you're getting some of the worst stuff. And I've already been at the bottom for 9 years. I had been an EMT. I was a paramedic. I was a surgical assistant in multiple fields, dental assistant, ICU, ER, mental health, all of those places. So I had seen a lot of the fields, and I had learned so much. And for me to have to, and I've done so much physically. I had saved countless lives. I have done surgeries. I've jumped out of planes to save people and stuff. Like, sorry, helicopters, not planes. I apologize. Helicopters.
Well, that's fun. Just as fun.
It is fun, yeah. But like, I've done all these things, and I was like, I have to just reseed all of that for years. And like a trach, I doing those, cutting into your throat so you can breathe again. I've done that at 20 years old, and then to have to not be able to do that ever again for 8 years, even though I know how to, and I've physically done it myself, but legally, because now my license has changed from A to B, I can't do that stuff. That sat wrong with me. I couldn't bring myself to hold back taking care of people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I felt like taking care of, it wasn't like somebody else might look at that as like a strategic thing, or, I don't know, long-term planning, like you just talked about
Both.
the numbers and
absolutely logical and emotional.
Okay.
I'm both. I love fixing people and fixing things physically. Like I'm not a mental health expert by any means, but I really, truly, nothing brings me more happiness than saving a life. Like knowing that because I helped you, you get to live your life. That's the ultimate happiness to me. Nothing brings me more joy than to know that you get to continue on. And I find it extremely difficult to hold my own hands. So if I am forced legally to not do what I can to save you, I have a very hard time.
Okay.
So I struggled with that for 8 years of not being able to do what I can do.
Okay. So you're going through training. You want to be a doctor. You're starting to go to school for that.
Yep.
And in the middle of it, you're learning it's not as glorious as you thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not going to be what it is for me already. As I'm going through school, I'm a medic. I'm a surgical assistant. I'm over here, opening up people, fixing their eyelids, fixing their bones, saving car accidents, overdoses, saving people's lives on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And to go from that to just studying for 5-6 years and then being retold how to do those things by someone that probably hasn't done it in 15 years, but here I've done it 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
It struggles for me. I struggle with that, the bureaucracy of the situation.
So if you were to go back and look at yourself back then, would you make the same decision?
I think so. I'm a lot happier fixing things with a lot less bureaucracy than trying to work around the system to fix people. Like COVID was such a mental killer for me.
So you're a nurse now for the
back
just
then.
for the story.
Yeah,
You're talking about COVID. Yeah.
80 to 90% of people hospitalized with COVID are vitamin D deficient.
Okay.
Wyoming nights, because we live so high up and it's so cold, most of us are vitamin D deficient.
Yeah.
And I told those people, take vitamin D. This is within my practice, it's within my law, it's within my jurisdiction. And because at that specific time, COVID vaccine was what's called an emergency mandate authorization. That means that you cannot have any other medication, whether it's natural or man-made or anything on the market that has any kind of help while you have an emergency mandate authorization out. So at that time, I ended up breaking the law and I got in trouble.
Wow.
Yeah, they wanted to take some of my licenses away.
Wow.
And that really, for a vitamin, for something that has been prescribed, that literally that you get from the sun, something that is a natural and unstoppable, something that your body needs. And yet you can't overdose on it. I mean, it's impossible. So there is no ramifications. It was all within my legal jurisdiction, but because of that act during that time in life, it was viewed as wrong. And that was a wake-up call for me.
Let's go into what it feels like as a nurse to be, I think you told me earlier, you'd seen, what was the range? Where did you start? Yeah. How many customers,
on average, in the ER, ICU areas, you'll see about 150 patients a day in a 12 to 14-hour shift.
Which is quite a bit.
It is quite a bit, yeah. You've got, on average, 3 to 7 patients at a time, and those patients rotate out about every hour or so. You've got the weird cases like full moons and stuff where it's more, but generally speaking, 150. During COVID, the average daily was over 300. So literally double the amount of patients. And also we went from normal nurse wear where you got your scrubs and a mask to scrubs, full coverall, 2 different masks, and a face coverall. And you're wearing that all day. It is hard to breathe, especially when you're moving around. I mean, I'm taking 15,000 steps a day on average. It's a lot of activity. Yeah. And twice the amount of patients for the same pay is criminal, in my opinion, especially when the hospitals were getting literally billions upon billions. That money didn't go to us, the ones that were taking care of people. And again, all that stuff is happening within like a 3-month time. Just didn't sit right with me. And like I said, with these other nurses, that none of them wanted to do this union, which I understand. It's scary.
From the day that you realized that the medical world was not doing you right, and that it wasn't for you, walk us through that choice, and then, and what do you do next? Because you're not the only person who's in this moment.
Absolutely, yeah.
A lot of people have gone to college,
Mm-hmm.
they're in a career, and it's not quite what they thought.
Exactly.
What's next?
So a lot of research, a ton of research. I probably spent between 2 and 3 months researching every kind of avenue that I wish to take. And I was in my local area, which is Cheyenne. And in Cheyenne, 6 years ago, there was 2 snow companies.
Okay.
And so then I was scrolling Facebook and I noticed all these small companies wanting snow removal service that wasn't on call. That wasn't.
So you're scrolling on Facebook in this kind of decision part. You're thinking, I might want to start a business. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm thinking I need to find a new route. I need to find a new career.
Why didn't you think, I mean, you're so educated. Why didn't you think, hey, I'm just going to take 4 years. I'm going to be an engineer. I'm going to be I don't know, botanist, something else.
Yeah, that was the college route again. And like I said, even with basically free college, after 3 years, I had $15,000 of student loans because of I need to eat, I need to pay rent.
You've got college debt. You don't want to go back.
I didn't want to go back to that.
No.
I just didn't see it to be lucrative. And best case scenario, I mean, I would have had maybe $25,000, $40,000 in debt for what at that time $60,000 job.
Yeah.
And almost half your money goes to taxes, so make that $30,000, and then you've got eating and living, so take away another half, you got $15,000. You should probably invest some of that, so maybe the $10,000. So at the end of the day, I might be $10,000 ahead, best case scenario.
Okay.
And to be $40,000 behind didn't seem to add up.
Yeah. Okay.
And especially with fields that are already showing me signs of interactions that I don't agree with.
Gotcha. So you might still have to compromise.
Oh, yeah. I looked at like being a Comcast technician guy and like driving around the tri-state area and stuff. And that was actually my closest bet.
Okay.
But then I thought about, again, I'm a risk taker, and I was like, if I'm going to be doing that stuff, and I have to answer to some corporation who's based in Milwaukee and I'm in Utah and Wyoming, that's going to be a nightmare all of my life. I was like, I don't want that. And so if I'm going to be doing that stuff outside in the field and all this, I bet I can do it because I'm doing it anyways. So what's the difference between me pushing myself to do it and some corporation telling me I have to do it? And that was kind of the teeter-totter. And then, like I said, I went into Facebook and I saw all those community connection posts, these small businesses wanting service. And that's when it clicked in my head. I was like, there is a literal demand. The public is demanding a premium snow service. And so I was like, here's my chance. This is where I start.
Really?
And
so
I
you
took the gamble.
You weren't even thinking snow. You just happened upon it.
I happened upon it. I saw the need. I saw the zeitgeist was wanting a premium service. And so I went for it. And that's how the business started and kept the bills paid and really pushed off the word of mouth of my company. And I'm so glad for it. It's been a fantastic journey. I've held so many different good contracts over the years. That was a good journey. And I started off with a $10,000 ATV plow loan.
Okay.
Yeah, I took out a car loan for an ATV, $10,000. I had a little trailer and a truck. I bought the trailer for $300. And so for $10,500, I started that business. And the first year, I made $6,000. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so of course I had to supplement my money. I was moonlighting as a bartender.
Okay.
Great
So you quit
moonlighting job.
nursing cold turkey.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was done for me.
You were just done. And then immediately get a loan for 10 grand.
10 grand.
For a little ATV. And then you just knock on doors. You Facebook reply, hey, I just started a little business.
I knocked on doors of small businesses as I started off where my house is, and I see what businesses are nearby. Yeah. And so whatever the closest ones were, I went to them. I was like, hey, I'm offering a premium snow service, no call, no hassle. You pay one time up front, and we come out every single time as soon as it snows. And they liked that a lot. I was able to get about 5 or 6 small businesses.
How did you figure out that model?
From the Facebook posts.
Okay.
All of these businesses were wanting a no hassle service. They're tired of having to call day of for some company, and then that company's going to be like, yeah, we'll get to you at some point, because they have 15 other people calling. And so I was like, if I can set up a model that where they pay me a lump sum, so that covers my plows for an extended period of time, I have, 1, locked in a long-term customer. 2, I have large capital up front, hundreds or thousands of dollars for that contract right away. And then 3, I have guaranteed work. I don't have to worry about trying to answer phone calls at 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday because it's snowing. I don't have to worry about trying to figure out prices for those jobs at that time and negotiate that at that time. So it took all of that hassle out of the way. There's a lot of formulation and math and statistics. I had to do hours upon hours of writing out, what's it going to cost in gas, insurance, and liability, and what happens if this breaks and I need to spend time on this.
Okay.
There's a lot of logistics.
So you thought about this?
Oh, absolutely. It was months of it. And while I was doing that, I was bartending, and I had another job too. I can't remember what I was doing. I don't know. This is almost 7 years ago. Yeah. But yeah, I'd always had multiple jobs to make sure that I was fueling that system. Yeah, I have the business still, and I started the business with, excluding that loan, 0 debt. My thought process was build it as I go. And then when it's sufficient enough, let's let it fly, and we can go full time. And that was my balance to the risk. I still had a good job as a bartender. I'm probably making $30, $40 an hour or something with tips. So enough to pay the bills and a little extra to invest in tools and stuff. And I did that for about 2 years. And then when my wife had our child, I think that was the final catalyst, actually, that little mental switch of like, I think it's time. I think we can do it, because trying to raise a baby and have a full-time job and have another full-time job is impossible. One has to give. And I wanted to be a father. I'm really happy with being a father. And so I gave up the bartending and went full-time business. And that was a huge risk. It was probably one of the scariest decisions of my life. But you believe in yourself and you work hard and continue, and you keep pushing and pushing, you get it. The stuff comes in. And I was able to do that, and that was about, I think that was 2022. Yeah, that was 2022.
Okay.
So
2 years later from COVID, which I think, did you quit in 2020?
Yes, I quit in 2020,
okay.
Yeah.
You're running, and then in 2022, do you have an estimate on how much you made?
Oh, yeah. In 2022, I made about 70,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Way better than 6,000.
Yeah, it went from 6 to about, I believe, 12 or 20, and then $60,000-$70,000.
What did you do? Everybody's going to want to know. Did you just knock on way more doors? How did you scale?
Everything. I did flyers, Facebook messaging, Facebook advertising, going to businesses.
So you managed to scale this from $6,000, from no dollars, from a totally different career, to $70,000 in
2.5 years.
Yeah, okay. And then, but you're just plowing snow still.
I was doing I grew the handyman into it. So the handyman part is what we do mainly now. We're a 6-figure business. We have 4 employees, 5 if you include me. And we mainly do repairs and maintenance now. But that took about $270,000 of tools and equipment. And that's no easy task. So over I would say about 3 years, I would accrue those tools as needed.
Okay.
So like a good example, one of my first commercial lawn mowing jobs, I didn't have a leaf blower yet. The job was probably $300.
Okay.
I had my lawnmower and I needed to buy a leaf blower. So the leaf blower was about $180. Buy the leaf blower, have the weed whacker, I get everything done. It took me all day because I'm on a push mower. And I ended up making, in one day, I made maybe $100. So that's how I struggled for 3 years. It was 70-80% of the profit is actually going towards buying the tools to do the job. But then once you have those tools, now every lawn care job I do is only 20% of cost and 80% profit. And then from there, you buy bigger and nicer things, make it faster. I got a riding lawnmower, so now I can do 5-7 acres in 3 hours. So now I can do 15 acres a day or something, and that just build upon your structure. And that's kind of how I was able to do it debt-free and slowly over time. Like I said, tools are expensive. So while I was doing that, the snow plowing was really holding down the fort. Having huge year-long contracts for big businesses and churches and corporations and people, having 15 of those or so, that's a good amount of money. That's probably $15,000 to $30,000. And that's almost enough to live on. That's almost enough to get by. So when you add a little extra by mowing lawns and fixing stuff and putting TVs up, you can make a living. And then you can survive. And then from surviving, you can thrive. And it's just about, it's a long game kind of. It took, like I said, 5 years. But that 5 years, I was growing. That 5 years, I was active. That 5 years, I was pushing myself forward. I was able to grow and try new things. And that's what mattered to me as a person. Not only am I helping people and fixing stuff, but I get to grow. I get to do new things. I get to be curious. I get to push myself. And I think that was the main reason that I went from the medical, like I said, being stagnant for 8 years. I get to still grow while I struggle.
Loved his thoughts on, like, well, because he's got a business, like he's got a dream of being in the medical field, which is not normally how I think I've seen the medical field be seen. It's normally a way to make more money, but he was there because he wanted to save people's lives. And just seeing that that passion. And then but he's also a hard worker. And so like how he makes his own business based off those same principles, but something completely different. I mean, like, you're saving people's lives and then you're, working on a fridge or, a deck or something. Like that's very different things, but somehow how his mind connects the two. I feel like he connected on, like, and then pointed out a very good point in business of being an entrepreneur. Like, I think it is about following your dreams. And then, that's why we make businesses, because we want to. I mean, most of them. But also to the point of where your passions can look different. Then as long as you still keep your passion in there, then that's what I feel like I got from it. And yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, that's a good thought.
Yeah.
We don't always have to it may look one way,
Mm-hmm.
but it might show up in different ways, something like that. Yeah. You know, like when he was in the middle of the medical field, but he said this one thing that when even the students at school or the nurses, you know, he wanted to start. I'm drawing from multiple parts of his story, but there's a couple, 3 times where he talked about how he thought a little different than everybody else. And it's hard to find your people. And so part of his story in finding his work that he loved was finding his people.
Yeah.
And for him, he found who he was not with, first. And so he was like, I'm not that kind of person. I just think it's important just to be like, yeah, those are not my people.
Yeah.
And that helped him get to where he is today. And he is finding some of his people. So just a little lesson in there, a little hidden gem.
Yeah.
Anyways, as you all are building great things, I hope you are finding your people. Until then, my friends, happy sailing.
Nice.